Well, here we're on to another chapter with Toto, and it's really been an adventure and a journey.
Joe is like, you know, he's the glue. This is all process. This is how we get the magic, if you can call it that.
Right now we have the good fortune of having Steve Porcaro doing a lot of the sound design and synth painting on our record.
What feels great is, you know, back in the day, I was always kind of felt like the black sheep. I always felt like I was, you know, running off to some studio by myself, doing something, you know, on one of the songs that maybe all the guys weren't all that into me spending that much time on, or just me being indulgent the way I always was. The difference is now they're begging me to do that stuff, you know, so it feels great, you know.
You can have the greatest band in the world, but if you have a shitty vocalist that sings out of tune or whatever, is not making it, is not confident, is not bringing it, that's what you hear first. The non-musician fan is going to go, I want to hear the singer. Otherwise it sucks. If it doesn't groove and you don't have a singer that can sing, then you really don't have much. And he brought it, man. He was what was missing. It just works. The chemistry is back in a different way, but it's very much back.
When you have a band with the musicians, you know, such great musicians like Steve Porcaro, Steve Lukather, David Paich, and David Hungate on bass, and then you throw on top of that a song that has more than just a verse and a chorus, but has real instrumental movements. When you have musicians like this, these things can really turn out special.
Looked around and I realized no mother, no father, no sister, and no brother. So I cry out to the heavens, could this be all there really is? Then someone said,
you know, I met Joseph Williams years ago. We were both writing for a record. He came in and just blew me away with his music. He's a great songwriter, great lyricist, limitless singer, and a tireless worker.
Steve Porcaro's a friggin' genius in there. He's able to, you know, score out and write string arrangements, but at the same time, he understands rhythm playing, guitars, drums, singing.
I wrote a song with Allie Willis called The Little Things. When the guys decided to make a record and they were looking for material to put together, and they definitely wanted a Steve Porcaro song, Luke came over and said, what do you got? And that was one of the ones I played him, and he said, that one.
And having Steve Porcaro back, you know, all those magic synth parts, all the things that he brought to it, he's grown 1,000 times as a musician than when he left in '86.
Of course, he's scoring the hit series Justified now, so he's very adept at writing string parts out and doing orchestral arrangements, as well as a great songwriter. He wrote Human Nature, of course, for Michael Jackson, and has penned some great Toto songs before.
But the thing was, those two friendships, Steve Porcaro and Joseph Williams, remained even when they were not in the band.
To have those guys play on your songs, you know, to have Steve Lukather do guitars on my song, there's no one in the world I'd rather have playing guitars on my song than Steve Lukather. He always brings something to the table that I've never thought of. He sounds like these guys, or David Paich. We've always been a great team. I've always respected what he does so much, and he's respected what I do. When these guys do a part on your songs, they play parts that sound like they've been played forever, you know, and they're able to do that 3 minutes after they've heard your song for the first time. Even on my own songs, when it's on a Toto album, most of the time in the past, I'll have David execute my keyboard parts. Even though it's my song and I know how to play it, and you'd think I'd want to play it on the album because it's my song and I want to play my keyboard part, I am more interested in making the best record I possibly can. And David Paich, as far as his time and his feel and his execution, if he can pull off with something of mine better than I can, 2 seconds I'm going to exploit his gifts and have him do it.
Actually, you go up to the B and he goes down to the A sharp, so we go to the third right there. Yeah, it actually does work. It's fucking great. It actually does work.
Steve Lukather is just, truly larger than life kind of character. I've known him for 40 years. I think I met him when I was 14. And as far as my memory goes back, he's always been that way. He's always been a guy that just speaks his mind. He has his opinions and will stick to them and stuff. And he's also a guy with probably the biggest heart that I've ever met and encountered in my life. If you have Steve Lukather as a friend, then you really, really have an ally in your life. Even though I've known him for as long as I have and I'm in the band, I'm still amazed night after night. My jaw will drop because he'll do something that he hadn't done before that's seemingly impossible.
When the idea of this album came about, we realized there was a lot of pressure since it's been so long since we did our last one. And a lot has changed.
What is this? What kind of guitar is this? I have no idea. Yeah.
This is born out of us backwards. We've been touring for several years now.
It's not my guitar, okay? Just so you know that.
That's his guitar. He just never plays it.
Here's the last year on the film. Who am I endorsing today?
It's been an interesting process.
Shut up, listen, and learn.
Yeah.
Okay? You.
Yeah.
It's definitely not what we thought it was going to be.
Intonation out of my hands.
Come on, guys.
It actually turned out better.
Love that sound.
Okay.
We put this pressure upon ourselves to be make a personal best record.
Yeah.
This new music is very inspired. David was a songwriting hero of mine. When we first started out, it was like, he was the, okay, wow, unless you got a song that's remotely close to being anywhere near that good, there's no point in presenting it. He was so prolific, particularly in the beginning. I mean, every time he woke up, it was another one. It was like, geez, David. I mean that. I don't like him as a person, but I think that he's a great artist. No, but David was our musical hero, and him and Jeff were like, thumbs up from those two guys, and you were in. And after the first album's success, David was very encouraging. Come on, guys, bring me some songs. I want to hear what you're doing. Because we all wrote. It was rather intimidating.
Well, we're pulling up to Capitol to record with Toto, and I've got a very expensive cameraman here, Mr. Carlock, and we're going to put down some drum tracks today. But man, right?
There it is.
But pulling up to Capitol is still, there's nothing like it, man.
Yeah, baby. There it is, folks.
Let's rock.
Let's
Here
do
we
it.
go.
I would say Capitol is not only one of my favorite, but one of many people's favorite studio in the world because it has a particular sound, and it's always a great sound. It's very musical. Great boards. When you need a big room, you can't really recreate that as much as everybody tries to. I think there's nothing like a big room with great microphones and a great engineer, and that's Studio B over at Capitol. We want to thank you, Paula Salvatore, for letting us in your little playground over there, who you saw her in Dave Grohl's Sound City documentary. And we asked her to get time at Capitol, and we were so lucky there to get Studio B with CJ's engineer, Chaba, who's a great engineer.
Take my hand, I'll lead the way through the darkest parts of these castle halls. No more masquerade. We'll fight ghosts and demons and we'll breach these walls. I know you're still afraid. I'll guide you through these crumbling spires. Trust in me to light our way with these glowing flames that only you inspire. I would burn it down for love. Watch the smoke pour out of my broken heart. Burn it down for love. There's no force on earth can keep us apart.
Hi, this is Toto on his 14th album, and we're at Studio B at Capitol here. I did the Emmys the last 2 years here, and this is one of the oldest studios, but the classic music studio. This is a very magical room, a very ambient room. It has a lot of humanity, a lot of ghosts and musical spirits. We used to go over to Chinatown and hang around. And I started writing a song back in the late 70s. And again, Steve Lukather said, you know what? I've never forgotten that one song he wrote called Chinatown. We need to do that for this record. So I dusted it off, and it's really turned out cool. It is so definitive Toto here. We've got Lenny Castro on it. David Hungate's playing bass on it. And it has this real Toto thing about it that when people are going to hear it, they're going to say, that can only be one band, it's Toto. We got David Hungate, the infamous, back with us here.
Yes.
Hungate.
The original.
You realize this first time we've been
original
together for 33 years,
33
right?
years.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's that?
33 years.
Since the four of us stood next to
And
each
we're
other.
none the worse for wear.
None the worse.
You should see the before picture.
He came in here and fired his bass up, and I'm telling you, man, it was great, and great to see the other guys around him. That was a special reunion on this record.
There's only one guy that can do all these slides. He originated this thing that people learn of copy, but when the real guy does it, there's something magical about it, you know what I mean? It's like, wait, it doesn't sound like the guy, it is the guy.
Where the nights are always longer than the days. Down in Chinatown, whoa, with the dragon eyes that overlook the bay. Hey, hey, hey.
Hungate Dan. Hungate Dan.
For some reason, it just seemed right. And like no time had passed, even though it had been 33 years since he played live with us and we played on a record.
Trying to find that thrill they'd never known.
C.J. Vanston, who has been a keyboard player producer in town here for a while, and Lukather's used him to co-produce his solo albums.
We're kind of taking everything we've ever learned and throwing it at this record. This record means a lot to the guys. This is a really special moment for them.
So we decided to give him a shot and co-produce this record with us. He also did co-produce our Live from Poland DVD. He's a keyboard player, he's a songwriter, he's a producer. I mean, he's a pilot. He just, it's easier to list the things that he doesn't do.
I remember where I was when I heard the first Toto record. I was on the road with an Elvis imitator, and someone came in with the cassette. We just sat there listening to the whole record, and it blew my mind. And I heard these two keyboard players that to me summed it all up. David Paich was more the meat and potato, amazing piano player, organ, chops for days. To me, he's the best rock and roll piano player on planet Earth done. And Steve Porcaro is the mad scientist of the modular synth with all these amazing sounds. I always wanted to be right down the middle of these two guys. So I learned how to play piano as much as I could like David Paich, but I really woodshed it on my synthesizer program. And I really tried to come down the middle of that. And I somewhat succeeded at being kind of half as good as both of them at what they do.
What I remember about him back in the day is that he had some sound, some great steel guitar sound that he had gotten on I think it was a Korg 01W, and David and I asked him for it, and he gave it to us freely without a moment's hesitation, and just that made me like the guy a whole lot right off the bat.
You can see why this is a dream job for me. It was an instant brotherhood. And these two keyboard players, oh my God. Have there ever been two keyboard players like this in a band?
Having Michael McDonald part of this new album, we just did some touring, a very successful summer tour with him. Michael's always been part of the family. Like he did "I'll Be Over You" with us, which was a big hit record that we had back in the '80s, a song that I wrote and he sang on. We played on his records. What people don't know is actually he was originally asked to be in our band. He was on the road with Jeff Porcaro and Steely Dan, back when we were still in high school, Steve Porcaro, myself, and Joe. So he's always been a part of the family anyway.
I sang on Chinatown, and it's a great song, you know. Those guys get away with things. They make things that most bands wouldn't get away with, at least not at pop radio level. But they make it sound so natural. You know, it's like time signature changes in the middle of the song, you know, elaborate key changes, you know. And they have that ability to make it sound kind of seamless, and it rocks.
Really, the thing that inspires me the most is just our live performance, getting out there and playing in front of an audience.
Hearing those guys live is an experience that no one should miss, really, you know, because you're never going to see a more creative, proficient band live on stage, you know, musically. And you know, it's almost like no matter how much production they bring to their show, and they do that like any other band in that genre, it's the least of it, because their playing is really always just the best part of the show. You know?
Toto isn't so worried about the paint job. We're more worried about the engine. You can't recreate everything that you put on an album because there's so many tracks. And you don't want to just hit a button and have all these overdubs coming up. We're players. We like to play, you know?
Most all keyboard parts that are played, we're playing those all live. There's sometimes like there'll be in the solo for Rosanna, where before when we would bring out the huge modular systems, I would have the sequence. There's a very fast sequence part that used to be played, you know, and I would bring the modular out and have this sequencer play it, but now that's just a sample. Or sometimes we'll take a sound that was a composite of 7 different synthesizers, and instead of dragging out those 7 different synthesizers, I'll just sample that sound.
We got highest level musicians, even people that come in from outside to play this stuff live. It's not standing there wagging our asses to a hard drive off on the side of the stage, you know what I mean? Which is acceptable now. I mean, you know, does it really pay $200 and that's what you're gonna see? You know, we do pretty reasonable replications of our music, you know, live.
You still get the essence of what's on the CD, but they bring so much more. This is not a press play kind of band. They'll throw extra things in there. There's sections of each song where everybody gets to stretch out. And even when we do something that's close to how it was on the CD, they still add a little extra flavor. It's like getting a recipe from a friend that tastes okay from them, but then you add your little thing in here, and Luke will come in and add his stuff, Steve will add a little taste, Dave will add a little flavor, you know, and it all mixes up. And it's not that it's a completely different dish, it's just tastier.
What we're gonna do is go out and play our new music along with our old music, and very exciting year coming up. How many decades now? 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010. That's 5 decades of making music with this band. There's not a lot of people that can say that. So, and we're still doing it. Here I'm still sitting here talking to you. I'm excited about a new album and a new tour that we're gonna be starting in 2015. It's insane.
What I love about getting back together with Toto is that we go immediately back to those days when we would see each other around town in studios, and you could walk in and listen to what record these guys were making, and it was all live, and it was all real players, and they were all some of the best players you'd ever want to hear, you know.
The old days, we used to all just set up in the studio, rehearse a song, play it, record it, off bang, off you go.
The process now is so different than it was in the past.
I mean, people used to say, oh, Toto's a slick band, listen, they all play so good and blah, 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 blah. We really actually sat in a room and played like that. Now, through the age of computers and all this stuff, people actually like the sound of auto-tune. It has a sound. I mean, we're virtually punk rock by comparison of how things are so buffed out. There's not a rough edge anywhere. People like the sound of everything being so on the grid and time corrected that's just commonplace now. It's EDM, it's electronic music.
They're embracing the technology that they used to shun, you know, being such great musicians, and now they're embracing it because they see it just, it helps us get things done quicker. So it's been very, very different. Also the synthesizer stuff I do, I'm not, you know, a lot of times it's not something that I just go in and do like an overdub like I do on other people's records. When it's Toto, you know, I tend to want to take some time. You know, a Rosanna solo takes me at least a week, if not 2 weeks, you know, for something like that to gestate and me to try all the different versions but I really like what comes out of that. You know, at the end of the day, it's something I'm real proud of, and I've been asked to do more of that kind of stuff, you know, as opposed to, you know, being asked not to. But most of the time I just want to serve the song and get to the point and make it the best record it can be, whether it's my song or not. And I love it. It's what I was put on this earth to do.
Hello to you, good people everywhere. New world children, handle her with care. There's no end to the challenges we face. Tide on the shores we navigate. Please stand clear of the air, so we won't hang by a thread.
You know, people say a rock band's like a dysfunctional family, but isn't dysfunctional family a redundancy?
These guys are more than friends to me, they're brothers, you know, and brothers fight sometimes. Sometimes we fight brutally, sometimes we don't fist fight, but, you know, I mean, especially when we have difference of opinion on how the music sounds or how it's made. Or
The creative process is definitely a process, and sometimes it's fraught with peril.
I feel a little like Dr. Phil. I mean, it's a family.
When you're dealing with things like people's songs and music and lyrics and things that come from inside people, it can be difficult sometimes with other band members and navigating your way through it and having it sound the way you want while still honoring the other musicians.
You have so many guys with so many great ideas and so many valid opinions that sorting through that and coming to the brevity and cutting it down to what should be there. I mean, we could just have Steve Lukather cover the whole track with guitars. It'd be amazing. Steve Porcaro could just do a complete machine track. It'd be amazing. David Paich could just play his keyboards, and we could code it all with Joseph Williams' backgrounds everywhere. It's deciding how to put the pieces together and keep it as a band, I think, is the biggest challenge, because there's just too much talent. These guys are too great. And that's actually a hard job. Harder job than if you got a bunch of guys that suck, because then you find the guy that at least is playing something. Turn that up, put it in there. But when you got all this great shit coming at you and you got to pick, in the movie business they call it killing babies, when you got to chop out the best scene, the guy killed it, but it doesn't pertain to the story. So we've had a couple of those parts where somebody played this insane, beautiful thing. It's like, that's got to go. That's not going to make the record.
It isn't just all, you know what I mean, a love fest that every time we get together. We challenge each other, and there's some things people don't like. You know what I'm saying? And some people, maybe it's something you work real hard on, and it hurts when someone doesn't like it because you put so much of yourself in there, and you've got to deal with that. You know, we all have to deal with that. You know, usually the rule is whoever's song it is, they're the boss. You know, when it's your song, you get to use the other guys the way you want to, and fortunately for me, I love what everyone does all the time. So for the most part, it's not a lot of, it's not difficult for me to get, you know what I mean, what I need from the guys. And then they give me all the space in the world I want now to do whatever the hell I want to do on my own and be as indulgent as I want on my stuff. And they'll you know, they'll pull me back if they think I'm going too far or whatever.
great art is made from people butting heads. David and I butt heads all the time as far as the creative process goes. Sometimes it gets a little heated. But because of that, there's an edge to it.
If you work with a bunch of guys that it's all niceties and, oh, you're great, I love you, blah, 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 you're not doing shit. Nothing's getting done. These guys are so tight, they've been together for so long, and that's what keeps it real. And are there uncomfortable moments? Yes. That's what makes music. Without those butting heads, to me, that's not creativity. You might as well just go make a solo record.
It's just got to be a healthy amount. When it's none, when there's no drama, I don't think a lot of times it's music that a lot of people aren't interested in. When it's a drag to go to work, because you just know it's going to be a bunch of conflict. I don't like the music that produces either, but it seems when there's just the right amount, where everybody is exploiting each other in a real good way, when they're using each other's talents, you know, for what everyone does best. What I think we have going on right now is a great blend of different forces pulling for their way, and the tension feels just about right for me.
At the end of the day, we always hug each other and laugh. I think the key to it all is a wicked sense of humor. It really breaks the ice, you know. And you know, we take the music very seriously. We don't take ourselves as personalities like music business, rock star, crap, whatever those. I can't even use those words with me. It feels silly to say it out loud. But I mean, we're very passionate about our feelings about how the music turns out. There's never any grudges, you know, of the guys that are sitting here, the four of us that are the core people that are here right now, that have survived all of it.
It all works itself out, you know. It's fun to watch sometimes, actually. And I feel like now, you know, to sum things up, I'm part of this family, and I could not be more honored. I will start crying right now if I tell you how much this means to me to be working with these amazing, amazing guys and making this new Toto record.
Just imagine being able to stand on stage in front of an enormous crowd of people. You're playing great music with the best musicians in the world, and you look around the stage and these are some of your best friends in the world. It's the best feeling any person can have, I think.
It's kind of hard to find words of what it means to have a smile on your face going to work every day, and we have the fans to thank for that. So thank you.
That's an exciting thing to be a part of, especially going to be exciting to all the Toto fans that are waiting for this record. I was just talking with Steve Porcaro the other day, and we were talking about how it's great that we're all getting a chance to see each other and work together again, but it also, we come to this having lived a big swath of life in the meantime, and all of us have seen our share of life and tragedy, you know, and that comes along with it, you know, whether you like it or not. And so, you know, that we can all still be friends, and we can all be still making music at this point in time, and having had life experience that we've had, I don't think any of us could appreciate it more.
We took that a few-year hiatus before we got back together again to help Mike Porcaro, because he's got the ALS thing, you know, try to help the family. I mean, there's a brother. If a brother goes down, you help your brothers. I mean, without Mike and Jeff, you know, it's different. I mean, let's face it. But they're always in the room with us.
As far as Mike and Jeff go, you know, their presence is always felt. You know, their presence is always there. All of this awareness of the Ice Bucket Challenge has brought has just been so welcomed and so needed, and I'm so grateful for it. You know, we've been trying to raise awareness of it ourselves, and so we were so glad to see this. Something that touches us so deeply and personally and is so close to home. It's great to see it so much awareness being brought to the situation. You know, all the drummers that go through Toto, they, you know, believe me, Jeff Porcaro is this, you know, huge presence hanging over their head. You know, Simon Phillips did an amazing job taking over for my brother Jeff, and he brought his own thing to the table. You know, Simon had a lot to do with this band for the last 20 years, a lot to do with the band. The guys like Keith and Shannon Forrest, who did an amazing job on this last tour with us. You know, Shannon's another brother now. Believe me, they refer to Jeff a lot. His presence is felt, and Mike's as well, you know. Mike shortchanges himself because he joined the band on the 5th album, and you know, but his contribution to the band is immeasurable, and his influence on the bass players that have followed him has been immeasurable.
So getting back together is very bittersweet. It's sweet in the sense that we're making new music and it's been very successful. It's bittersweet because Mike Porcaro's not sitting here with me right now, and Jeff's not sitting on the other side of me. But you know, life is for us right now. You know, we have to keep the music, and it helps him. It helps everybody. It helps keep the, you know, our whole little contribution to music alive.
Smile in a photograph when I'm